the 27 or 2800 block of the beach. They estimated it to be about 400 teenagers, 400 kids. A group of officers got there first and was formulating a plan on how they were going to address the party. And as they were forming their plan, they heard and saw, they were standing on Nielsen Way, the officers, or at the very end of the parking lot. And they heard and saw the shots. There was maybe 6 or 7 shots, then there was a lull, and there was another 6 or 7. So a total of maybe about 14 shots fired. Everybody scattered. 2 girls got hit in the lower leg. They were treated at the scene by our officers, taken to the hospital. I don't think they're very serious, but they were teenage girls. There was some evidence found at the scene that our forensic specialist took possession of. And the description was, I think in the press release, it's just a male black wearing a ski mask. So I stopped a couple groups, and they did say that there was one person in particular that was wearing a full, not a pandemic mask, but a full ski mask. So there were some shots fired, everybody ran. We had the LAPD helicopter there helping us. But that's really about it. I can't really say much more. It's because it's still an ongoing investigation. They were supposed to be having this party at Dockweiler Beach, but for some reason they moved it to Santa Monica. We don't know why, or maybe our detectives can figure that out. But it was supposed to be in Dockweiler. They ended up in Santa Monica. So that's it. Can't really say anything else. Does anyone have any questions about that I could try to answer? Yes.
I just wanted to ask why we didn't receive a notification.
Why you didn't?
We did not receive any notification when I called. My neighbors were freaking out because the helicopter's right above us. So I called the front desk, and they said, well, until a PIO can post something, we can't put out any kind of notification. We get notifications when there's streets interrupted or closures or any of those kinds of things. There's no notification on this at all.
The notifications that you normally get, are they from SM Alerts?
Yep.
Okay.
On my I get both the text ones, and then what is the other one called, Northbridge or something like that? There's 2 different systems. I'm signed up for both of them on email and on text.
Okay, I'll ask the watch commander. I'll ask the sergeants who are working why there wasn't an SM alert put out, and then I'll figure out. I'll ask around and see what happened.
Thanks.
And I know Mark was not alone in that. I received a bunch of inquiries from residents asking why there was no alerts, and as well as why there's no integration with Citizen. There's been a bunch of inquiries. So.
Okay.
May I ask, is this calling dispatch, or who was contacted? I'm just curious to know where the information was not or coming from or not coming from.
I called your front desk, the regular number, because you're not supposed to unless it's an emergency. So I just called the regular. Yeah, dispatch on emergency, and I talked to them. They're very nice, but they said, I asked why we couldn't receive any notification. I asked what's going on. I didn't get any details, obviously, because I don't know if they actually had any at the time. We could tell more. And then I got more information from KNX and from CBS and from all the stations who are on Twitter and all the other systems than I did from our own city. So it's really disconcerting.
Did you call 458-8491 or?
I could look it up, but I called the regular number.
Okay.
Have it on
if it's not emergency, that would be the number.
Prevailing wisdom community was, it was surprised that there was no push alerts given as opposed
Right.
to requiring the pull alerts.
And what to do, because the helicopters were there, are we supposed to stay in our house or?
Yeah, it's something like that. If you see or hear helicopters, LAPD helicopters, or the sheriff helicopters in your neighborhood, stay in your house and lock the door. Don't come out. If you see them with the big spotlight on, stay inside. But there should have been, I apologize, there should have been an SM alert put out. I got an SM alert for the incident on Lincoln.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
The
all
other
got that.
day.
yeah.
So I don't know
There
why.
were
I don't
3
know.
of them, yes.
Maybe there was a miscommunication, or the watchman, the sergeant at the watchman's desk didn't think to put it out. But I'll find out. I'll ask tomorrow.
Thank you. There's a hand up in the back. I'll hand the speaker to you.
I live at the shore, so I'm right there. The incident started sooner with fireworks and large, I don't know what they're called, M80s or something, and then the shots. How come no police came earlier than 9:20? You just didn't know it was happening? There was hundreds of kids at the beach? Nobody knew?
So it's a one of those where it's officers availability. So we do have a overtime detail assigned to the beach, specifically to the beach, but those officers were at Tower 10 because just maybe 30 minutes before this happened, they came across a 14-year-old girl who was passed out unconscious from alcohol. So they had to take her to the hospital, and they weren't able to patrol the beach. So kind of, it's an unfortunate turn of events. The girl's okay, but they were at the hospital when all this was taking place. So the officers, we got the call, and as I said, the officers were in the parking lot formulating a plan on how they're going to deal with 400 people, and then it went south from there. So we were trying to address it, and then as we were going to address it, they started shooting. So
We see a giant crowd like that, like I live there. We can call and tell you like there's 400 kids at the beach. It's scary. And
yeah, absolutely. Call dispatch. If you have the envious view of the beach there from the shores, and you see that, call and we will address it.
Will, you had your hand up?
Yeah, real quick. Thanks, Officer Galvin. It's Will Burrington. I know, I want to make sure to hammer home the point that has been brought up before. Previous months, it's been brought up on OPA Connects too. When that LA helicopter comes out, it bleeds, as we understand, it's an LA situation, but sometimes it'll bleed into Ocean Park. That's just where there has to be that push notification, because it changes, it really scares people. It's just a whole different energy. And of course, we were looking on other devices, other platforms to see what's going on. So if there's that's the main message on this one, is when it bleeds into Ocean Park here, from Venice or whatever, there's got to be a push on what's going on with the helicopter. That's all.
Okay. You guys can also email me or Halima, and if I would have been working, I would have sent you guys. I was working. If I would have seen the email in between all the commotion, I would have sent an email to you guys. If I wouldn't have seen it, maybe Halima would have gotten the email. Maybe she could have called me, and I could have sent something out. So something like that. Just send me an email, and I'll put out the information that I'm allowed to put out.
Thanks for your great job, Bill. Thank you.
Thank
All right. Unless there's other questions, thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate you coming and being as open as you can be, especially on this issue. Let's follow up on the SM alerts, and we can distribute information as a follow up as you figure out why that didn't happen.
We also
Thank you both.
Sure. Any other questions? Anything else?
Thank you for that. Before you go, I know we're going to be talking about this a little bit later during programming, but National Night Out is August 1st.
August 1st.
Is there anything either of you want to talk about with that? Historically, OPA has had a table. I expect we're going to have a table there. It's a great night to go interact with the police department staff. A lot of people are out there. It's usually at City Hall, but is there anything specifically you want to point out about that?
What time does it start?
Halima, Halima's gonna handle
thank you
that.
for reminding me about this. I'm gonna send you the flyer tomorrow when I'm back in the office. And so this year it's gonna be superhero themed, and it's highlighting how we have many different types of heroes in the city of Santa Monica, and they're the ones that kind of keep it running. So we have different city departments and teachers and nurses and a bunch of different occupations kind of taking over in that space. And we have obviously your comic book heroes themed. It's going to be from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 1st, and it's going to be in front of City Hall like it was last year. And we normally have, we're still working out a couple details, but we do expect to have a similar situation as we did last year, where parking was accommodated at the Civic Center structure. That they usually just keep the gate up for everybody coming in. We're going to have food and games and giveaways, activities, music. Should be a lot of fun. And yes, we do want to have as much participation as we can from the neighborhood associations. So we do hope that you are able to have a table there and have some people come out, talk to the community, maybe get some new members from it. So we will be sending out that information. I have to check with a couple other associations and see if they're interested as well. But last year, I think we had a couple people from OPA there, and it's always great to have you. And we also, if there are any interested volunteers, we do always need help with setup and with cleanup and things of that nature. So if anybody is interested in helping, just let me know. That's also very, very useful for us. But I will send out that flyer tomorrow to Sean so that he can distribute it to everybody else. And if you have any questions about it, you can always reach out to me.
Thank you. Thanks for making time tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Next, I want to introduce Michelle Wittig from Santa Monica Coalition for Police Reform to have a discussion with us.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I have a good reason to ask. All right, so, am I on?
You're great.
All right, okay, all right. Kamala, I would like to use my technology and channel Kamala herself. She opened the meeting of the Racial and Identity Profiling Advisory Board in 2015 and administered the oath of office to those who were present. And it was a very poignant moment for her as a Black woman, as our Attorney General, as a representative of the Department of Justice. And here's what she said. You can hear her. Somebody's trying to call me. Not to have her call me.
Fundraising text.
Please send whoever you are. Here's the
with a prayer and a hope.
She's talking about police officers.
Individuals who have taken an oath to protect other people that never meet. They never know their names. I know this as a career prosecutor. As a Black woman, through the experiences of my family members, my colleagues, and my friends, that there's not a Black man I know who has not been the subject of profiling or an unreasonable or unfair stop.
So you get both sides of the story here, don't you? And I hope that I will also be able to give you both sides of the story. I'm a 53-year resident of Santa Monica, a retired professor of psychology at Cal State Northridge. I've lived all over the city, both renter and as homeowner. And I retired in 2011 after 40 years of teaching statistics, research methods, and social psychology to those wonderful undergraduates in the San Fernando Valley, and maybe some of you who commuted like I did out to the valley for so many years. It is really wonderful to live in this city, but we have work to do, just like Kamala Harris said. So when I retired, I decided to take the Citizens Police Academy. I was in the class of 2015. Maybe I was in there with some of you. It's a great course, but I had some criticisms. Hey, I'm a college professor. I criticize things. Okay. I also had a ride along with an officer, and during the ride along, I heard a racial slur, and I think I witnessed a pretextual stop. Someone who was stopped because he was a big effing black man driving a Rolls Royce on Ocean Avenue, and he said the F word. I heard that come over the police radio from another car. That police officer didn't know there was a civilian on a ride along listening to that. I didn't know what to say or do. I didn't say or do anything. At the end of my ride, I thanked that officer and said, this was very informative. And then I filed a complaint. Long story short, I became involved in policing reform. It wasn't something I was planning to do, but it came to me. That very week that I was on a ride along, Justin Palmer was trying to charge his electric car at Virginia Avenue Park at 10 minutes to 11. Now those charging stations are open 24/7. The park closes at 11. He was told, go on your way, the park is closed. And he said, but these are open 24/7. I need a charge on my car. An altercation occurred. He fell to the ground. Long story short, he filed a civil rights lawsuit and he won. He won over $1 million of our taxpayer money for his injuries, for his loss of being able to work in the pharmacy that he had been working in, etc. So I knew it wasn't just the racial slur, but there were other things as well. Our police chief said at the time that the officers acted in policy. The NAACP president said, if that's the policy, it's got to change. So I was animated. I came out of nowhere to be a reformer. So blame me for criticizing our police department. It wasn't what I had intended, but that's what I'm doing. So actually, I have a little bit of history, and that is that I joined the NAACP in 1987 on Martin Luther King Day, when the ceremony was in Virginia Avenue Park. And that's when I was recruited into the NAACP. I got an earful every month of what was happening to those Black kids. And I went to Calvary Baptist Church one day, and I heard the minister there say, today, the Sunday school children are going to have a talk by a judge about how to stay safe when they're stopped by the police. You know, growing up in Parma, Ohio, in a Catholic church, I didn't ever have to hear that talk. It was news to me, and I was 50 years old by then. So I learned, and I'm trying to be balanced, but I also know things I don't want to know. So I'm going to invite you tomorrow to the meeting of the Public Safety Reform and Oversight Commission, of which Commissioner Miller there is a member. Come on down to City Hall at 6 o'clock. Why is this an important meeting? For the first time, we are going to hear the results of the data that the Santa Monica Police Department has gathered, mandated by Attorney General Kamala Harris and the AB 953 RIPA Act, whereby officers report to us their perceived race, gender, and sexual orientation of the people whom they stop. This is the first time we're getting this data, and we want to hear, what are the racial disparities? How big are they? What do they mean? Are there other explanations for why they might be so large? So please come on down. If you want to know any more about our Coalition for Police Reform, and M. Wittig, MWITTIG still at csun.edu. They let you keep the email. We've been after you every time. Thank you so much.
Before you sit down.
Oh, I'll be happy to take questions if they have time. Oh, I'd love to.
Email, just
Sure.
hit me up.
The agenda item says, I'm going to talk about the history and purposes of our coalition, our advocacy for local and California reforms, enacting California legislation to address racial and group disparities in non-safety related traffic stops, and engaging with the commission. So any and all of that, ask me questions. Yes.
So whatever the committee's called was formed after the incidents of May 31st. Much fanfare. What outcome over the last 3 years we have noticed in the streets or anything like that? Has anything come of that committee?
They've been working hard.
Like it?
And here's something that's coming up tomorrow. The Reimagining Policing Committee, of which he's a member, voted at their last meeting to ask the whole commission to endorse the LAPD reform on pretextual stops. Now that LAPD reform was moderate. Okay? That brought out 2 letters from the Police Officers Association. One that said, if you even talk about this, it is undermining the rule of law, and something else, but that was bad enough. Okay. The other officer, which vice chair, said something a little more congenial. But we have our work cut out for us. Whenever there's an opportunity to do the slightest reform, then the Police Officers Association takes opposite tack. That's maybe 3 words I want to leave with you: deployment, deployment, and deployment. The controversy that we have all been having about how policing is done in our city is actually about deployment. In psychology, we call that distributive justice. In economics, you might call it resource allocation. That's what it's about. Let your officers know how you want them to be deployed, where you want them to be deployed, and if you want them to be deployed, or if you want mental health people or social workers to be deployed in certain instances. That's what the commission is wrestling with, exactly those topics. So they got their work on. See, I'm the outside agitator. They are the official appointed individuals who actually can follow. So go ahead. You want to answer something? Go ahead.
You're gonna ask another. You're gonna ask for another.
I'm standing because of this whole plan.
Okay.
Extremely interesting. Local treasurer. I'll be happy to answer any questions if that's acceptable to OPA, whatever.
Yes, Jerry.
I wanted to hear you because I know Michelle for decades, know her commitment to peace, social justice, fairness. And I haven't heard that about the police academy and the ride along in 2015, but I graduated in 2023. And I got to tell you, what I learned is a very different story than what might have happened in 2015. Thankfully, from what you're saying, with our new police chief and the personal talks I've had and with other people, I think we're moving along. And of course, there's always room for improvement. I don't think there's any police officer that I've talked to that would disagree with that. You know, and I do urge everyone to go to that meeting. And we need to support the police too, because I've learned that's a job that I'm not sure any one of us would want to do. I know I wouldn't have the courage to do it. I know they're needed, and they've come and helped too. Same with the fire department. So I just want to thank you all, and
Thanks, Jim.
out there. Good.
Yes.
Congratulations on graduating.
have a big mug with a seal of it.
Right. Marijuana was a big fine thing. If there was a pot plant. Question, something to take back to your meeting. So other police departments, and I don't know where Santa Monica stands, but it's something to be aware of, because it's not just traffic stops that need reform. So currently the pro-life coalition, in particularly in states that do not allow abortion, are requesting license plate readers and of cars coming from other states who might be getting an abortion, and the police departments are freely giving it out, which by law, they need to ask why they want it. And it would be interesting to know where Santa Monica, if it's doing it and where it stands with it.
Well, I listened to the chief's talk that he gave here last month, where did you see? Oh, okay. He does talk a lot about the drones and the ability to read license plates of cars as they come off the freeway using some other technology. And then he also said that there was similar technology being launched in the downtown area. I like technology. I think it's good, but it can be misused. Do we really want to be monitoring all the people who come here that don't happen to live here? Maybe, but let's be sure that we honor their constitutional rights, though they are from another part of the city and coming into our city. I know what happened on May 31st. I was in the streets.
Well, the point is, you know, we don't want, I prefer,
Yeah.
as a liberal person,
Yeah.
for that information not to be released,
Yes,
or causes that are very political in nature
yes,
versus criminal in nature. But
Yes,
it's not
right.
criminal here.
yes,
So
but I think our
would ask
constitutional rights
that
are similar.
question very clearly of the police department and find out how they're doing it. They're collecting all of this data, but what and how are they releasing it? What protocols are they using?
It's,
to do that?
yeah, it's a perfect question because it covers both the potential criminals and also the misuse of the data to monitor people who might be coming to get abortions. So it's two very different purposes, but I think it raises some very interesting issues about our privacy and our constitutional rights. And I'm not a lawyer. Yeah.
And just to follow up, and I agree with Monica a long time ago in the Patriot Act. Put forward, and our librarians are making sure that they didn't release the information to libraries.
Right, about what books people were reading. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So technology as a tool can be used for good. People. More questions? Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thanks.
making the time.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything you're doing. I want to remind everyone, the police commission reform, the reform police oversight and reform commission meeting is tomorrow at 6 p.m. at City Hall. So, and it's open to the public. Anyone's welcome to join. Craig, you have one more of the items.
Lovely to see you all. Jerry, you look 10 years younger than the last time I saw you. I don't know what you're doing, but oh, good. I can answer them. I am a proud member of the Santa Monica Coalition. I am a member of the Santa Monica Commission titled Public Safety and Reform Commission. I aspire to be a proud member, but I can't stand here and tell you tonight that I'm a proud member. The commission's name, as I think the gentleman's question implies, vastly exceeds its function to date. And I think the last thing I'll say for tonight is I too like the stuff. And I too, along with that, these 3 or 4 other people present tonight, and a proud graduate, and this I will say also, proud graduate of SMU. community academy. It is awesome. One does learn a lot. At the conclusion of that academy, I was awarded a coin from the chief. And it says on it, office of chief of police, Batista, city of Santa Monica. And on the other side of it, it says benchmark for excellence. And what I've said to the chief, and what I will say to you all tonight, is that I consider this an aspirational statement, not a statement of the current state of affairs. Thanks very much. Lovely to see you all.
Great, thank you. Finally, I want to introduce Karen Reitz from Santa Monica Public Library.
Hi, everyone. Wow, this is a lot to follow. I'm just gonna lighten it up a little bit. How's that? It's nice to see all of you. A lot of you know me as the manager from the Ocean Park branch, where I was for 10 years, but now I oversee adult services and programs for the library. We had a reorg during COVID. You kind of heard about all that, probably. On the positive side, thanks to all of you and for your support. We are hiring people back. We are hiring new people. I have a new librarian starting on Monday because City Council passed a higher budget for us. We're actually able to bring in a youth services librarian that's going to also start on Monday. So that the more employees we have, the more likelihood we're going to have full service at the Ocean Park branch. So just know that we are working on that. You know, this whole Open Plus system is just really kind of a stopgap measure to provide you all with basic services. It has been really lovely because I do live in Ocean Park neighborhood. It has been lovely as I, walk my dog around the neighborhood. How often people tell me that they miss their librarians and they miss their library staff, and I always give our director that feedback. So we know, and we appreciate it. So we appreciate your support. So that being said, we have all kinds of good stuff going on at the library. I put some flyers over here. We have summer reading going on. We have it for adults. We have it for kids. You can sign up online through our library's website, thatsmpl.org. And we are featuring 2 authors' books. Lisa C. has a new book out, and it's called Ladies' Hand Circle of Women. Let's see, make sure I don't drop all these flyers I have here. So she has a new book out, and so she's speaking next Tuesday. So we featured her book, and our friends in the library purchased copies for us to give out. We've already given out quite a few copies of that book, and we have extra copies in our library. So we love to see all of you next Tuesday at the main library in the OK Auditorium. You can just show up. There's no tickets needed. Lisa C. will be speaking at 6 o'clock, and if you don't know her, you're really missing out. Her book is the Amazon Book of the Month in July. Her book debuted at number 5, New York Times bestseller. It just came out at the beginning of July, and excitingly, she lives in Santa Monica. Yeah, so that's going to be great. We also have Naomi Hirahara. We gave out her book. It's called Clark and Division. We were just discussing how much we like that book. It's about a family who gets out of Manzanar and moves to Chicago towards the end of World War II, and it's their story. Naomi Hirahara lives in Pasadena, so she's a local author as well. She'll be speaking August 10th, and we gave out copies of her book too, and she has a follow-up coming out called Clark and Division that's coming out in August, which is the reason why we're have her speaking then. So all kinds of good stuff. We do have a calendar of events that comes out every month. It's on our library website. You can come in and get it at any of our library locations. It has the adult programs. It has our hours. It has kids programs, and for the most part, all our programs are free. You could just show up. They're paid for by your tax dollars, and our wonderful Friends of the Library gives a lot of our funds for our programs. So the Friends Bookstore is open 2 days a week over at the main library. We're hoping to have it open more, just The challenge we have is getting back our volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, we're happy to have you. And you can just reach out to us. Our email address is library@santamonica.gov. So that's pretty easy to remember, hopefully. Library@santamonica.gov. We also have, I don't know if anyone of you experienced it before, we had Santa Monica Library at the Beach for a number of years right prior to COVID. So we're bringing that back a little bit. I put a flyer over here. We're having a seaside story time on Friday, July 21st. Over at Annenberg, and we're gonna have kind of a pop-up beach library happening at the same time. So love to see you there. Let's see what other cool stuff I have to talk about. Flyers, we have flyers. We love flyers at the library. We're big on flyers. Yeah, we do recycle. We do encourage people to take pictures of them. We are about saving the trees. Though we have something really cool this Saturday at the Pico branch, the Human Library, and I'm not sure if you've heard of that. But basically, you know, we kind of look at it, each person as a book. And so you can check out a book, otherwise it's a human being, and sit down with them and learn all about their lives. And it's each person has kind of a unique background that they'll talk about. It's really fun. We've been doing this periodically. So this is this Saturday from 9 to noon at the Pico branch library. Same kind of thing. You can just show up and we'll set you up. It's really fun to sit down and hear their story and learn about someone's life. Yeah. Can I be a tabloid? Yeah, you can be whatever you want yourself to be. Absolutely. Yes. And then we also have computer basis classes, which are back over at the main library right now. They're Wednesdays in July and August. These have been really popular. So we have those happening as well. Just drop in. And we also have Tech Thursdays. So every Thursday from 2 to 4, people can show up at the main library second floor and just drop in, and they can get one-on-one assistance with their tablets, with their phones. We can help them go online and fill out forms. We had someone recently who moved here and from another country and needed help with a marriage license. We sat down and helped him get a marriage license. He was so thankful. I mean, we just all these kinds of things that we can help do. We have a whole literacy team. We have a big grant that pays for a lot of this from the state library. That's a literacy grant. And we just got an extension of that grant that's now adding English as a second language, which we're really, really excited about, to have free classes for people to learn English. The literacy that we have had in the past, we're just sitting down, needing to learn to read and write and comprehend for really English speakers. So this is going to be a really nice, needed addition that's going to be starting in the fall. So another thing that we're excited about. And then we just have some fun programs. We have these cool new kits called Red Kits, Read, Engage, Discover. That was another grant we got from the state library. And I was one of the people overseeing this. And we have all these neat kits. I have some brochures over here. We have bird watching, brain health, cookie baking, dating and socializing, gardening, mindfulness, pie baking, stress relief, technology, ukulele, and walking in LA. So all these kits are in a cool bag. I should have probably shown you. They're in a cool big tote bag. The ukulele kit, for example, has an actual ukulele in it, and it has books on learning to play the ukulele. Walking in LA is one of our newest kits that's coming out next month. And that has walking poles and books on walking and activities you can do. So they're really fun. We have we're having a Secret Stairs program. Have you ever heard of that Secret Stairs book? Some people really know this guy. Yes, he wrote the book about. Yeah, yes. Well, this is, I guess, kind of I don't want to say the main guy, but Charles Fleming, one of the two, is going to be speaking on July 27th. And he has a walking guide to hidden trails in Los Angeles and a walking guide to historic staircases of Los Angeles. A friend of mine told me that she's done every single one of the staircases, which is really fun. So he's going to be speaking at the main library on July 7th at 5:30, and we'll have the kits there that you can check out, those red kits. And then we have another kit coming out in August. That's a bird watching kit. So we have a program August 16th. Lou, who's one of our members of the Friends Library and our library board, he's leading this. He's a member of the Audubon Society. So we're having this at the Pico branch, and we'll have the kits you can check out. The kits have binoculars in them, and they also have all kinds of books about bird watching. There's even a book that has all the sounds that tells you what the bird is. So that's going to be really fun on Wednesday, August 16th. He is Charles Fleming. Yeah, and I have some flyers up here too, for all of these. So would love to have you take them and tell your neighbors about them and help spread the word. I think, after we closed down, during COVID, we still pretty much stayed open. We had curbside service, so we had people coming to, get books, check out materials. But, now that we've reopened, that challenge of really just getting people back to the library. I think we're all seeing this in so many aspects of our society. It's just getting people back out there and making them feel comfortable. I know that in the past, especially at the main library, there's a lot of concerns about, mentally disturbed people, disturbances at the library and security. And, COVID gave us a chance to kind of relook at this. And so we have one entrance now, so we're better able to monitor who's coming in. Of course, our library is open to anyone and everyone, as it should be, but we just want to make sure that everyone is respecting each other and that everyone feels safe there. So we have lots of library service officers monitoring, and knock on wood, things seem to be going pretty well.
That was great. I love all the programs. What, is there anybody gonna ever come back to the cafe?
We're working on that actually. And so the courtyard is open at the main library. That's what she was referring to. We have this beautiful courtyard. So do you know that the courtyard is open? You can go and sit out there. The cafe unfortunately did close. They were an outside business, but we are working, especially Erica, our library director. I know she really wants to have something, and people are giving us that feedback. So we are definitely working on it. Yeah.
Hi, Jamie. Hi. A couple of us here, Francis and I, have been talking about the reopening of the Ocean Park Library, and I know other people have talked about it. And do you want a little committee task force to help you work on what should happen there?
I bet Susan Lamb would love that.
And
Susan Lamb,
Susan has been at my house a lot, and Kathy
Yes.
Lobo, yeah.
Yes, we've been, so Judy has this amazing, side note, Judy has this amazing collection that she donated to the library, and we digitized it, and it's so exciting to have added that to our collection. So we're really, thank you for that, really excited about
If
it.
you can find the database section of the library website, that's where it is. It says Judy Abdo.
Got it. So yes, if you go to our library, it's you just click on the tab that says our research, and then there's local history. And we have a whole great archival collection in there that everyone can access. Yeah. So,
Francis and I would like to be a core of a discussion group of it, at least, about what should happen there.
wonderful, wonderful. She would love that feedback. So, I don't know if you want to, you can just reach out to me or Susan.
I know how to reach her.
Okay. Sounds good. All our contact information is on the library website too. But yeah, we love you. I mean, you're our community,
Yeah,
so we want to hear from you. And
We miss the place to be.
Right.
You know, I love being here. I don't mean to instead of here, but it was nice to have it.
yeah. So on that note, actually, because I was asking, so I'm mentioning Susan Lamb. So when we had our reorganization, Susan Lamb, former head of reference, now oversees our branches. And so we used to have one branch manager at each location. And so we kind of combined. So Susan oversees the branches, and then we have a team that are kind of on site, like Nancy Bender is at Pico branch. She really is overseeing all the branches. I was asking them, because I knew I was coming to see all of you, about the neighborhood groups. And, you know, it was so nice actually to have all of you meet at the Ocean Park branch. Yeah, especially in the winter. And it was fun for me because I could just wander downstairs and give all my library plugs to all of you. It was great. So, you know, I don't know if you know that, but it was even kind of in a library announcement. So the Montana groups are coming back to Montana, the neighborhood groups. Yes, and I saw that and I said, well, wait, what about OPA and all the other groups? So Susan said that definitely we are working on it. Yeah, the challenge with Ocean Park is that it's open plus and we don't have staff there all the time. Right now, you know, we're open on Wednesdays and Fridays. So, but there is maybe the possibility, I don't know if that's out of the neighborhood of, you know, either having it there. I mean, you probably have a set your Mondays when your meetings are, you know. And so right now it's Wednesdays, but maybe if we open on Mondays, you can have it there. Or, you know, there is an option, although I know you probably don't want to leave the neighborhood to meet at some of our other locations, like the Pico Branch, for instance. So do know that is definitely on our radar, and we really want that to happen. We know how important it is for our neighborhood groups to have a place to meet, especially a free place to meet, and a place in the community where everyone can come together, right? Fairview is open plus as well. Yeah, which is, if you don't know what open plus is, by the way, you scan, it's like, I put it to like an ATM when the bank is closed. You know, you scan your library card, you put in your 4-digit PIN and it opens the door. Though I did hear that we're having some door issues at the Ocean Park branch, so it's not opening so well. They're working on that too. I don't know what's going on there. This is what happens when I'm no longer there, you know, it's just like fall apart. But yeah, so, and I also did bring, I brought them some applications for Open Plus. So anyone with a library card can access the Ocean Park branch and the Fairview branch with this Open Plus system. But there's an extra application. It's just liability issues. So I did bring some applications. You can just fill it out online and it goes to actual human and we just approve it. It only takes like a day. Did I put them out? Yeah, I'll make sure I put them out. And so if anyone wants one, you can just fill it out and drop it off at any of our locations, including Ocean Park. Just give it to the staff there and we'll get it over to get processed. Anything else?
Thank you for making.
All right, thank you. Did you have a question? Yes. The big parking garage.
I was gonna.
So the larger picture, which I didn't even touch on this actually, thank you for bringing that up, is that we're not open right now at the main library on Saturdays. It's an outside entity that runs that garage, the big parking structure. It's a private entity that runs it. Yeah, so their hours are, they control their hours. That being said, we are expanding our hours in September. So Ocean Park will be open an extra hour. I know that's not enough. On Wednesdays, we'll be open until 8. But the main library will be open on Saturdays, every Saturday, starting in September. So the garage will definitely be open then. Yes. And right now, our Montana and Pico Ranch are open on Saturdays. So we're trying to work on some more Saturdays as well. Honestly, it's just a budget staffing issue. So like I said, the more staff we can get back, the higher budget we have, the more we have bodies, actual bodies to be at these locations to open them up for our community. So keep talking to city council. They are listening, thankfully. Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, everyone.
Feel free to pick up papers anytime. And let's move on to board business. I understand a couple people that do have to leave, so finally if possible. Starting with exec committee, I don't think we have any specific updates from exec committee. Bobby, Christina, Patty, anything? Right. Moving on to communications, the newsletter continue readership. There's no major changes. Readership continues to grow a little bit. I think we're we're up about 8 people in the past month and a half, which is great. And added a bunch of people for right after the 4th of July parade as well. OPA Connects, Will, Patty, anything to talk about there? Will, Patty, anything to talk about on OPA Connects? I'm sorry, I meant Judy, sorry. I looked at Judy and then I looked over there.
Wednesday, we're gonna try to have the, Kristen does a size, we're gonna put retrofit stuff for Santa Monica on, we had, the front page of the LA Times today, it's a really positive article about Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And, besides, we said a lot about the city and its efforts, and we're really positive article. So I talked to Kristen, we'll see if we can get that person on. And we'll have Lee. Again, for those of you who don't do this every Wednesday noon, we get kind of a nice thing. Julie and I kind of co-host a debrief on what happened at the city council meeting. We get, right from the mayor's mouth, what happened the night before, even if she's up till 2:30 in the morning. So it's really kind of nice. 45 minutes, nice neighborhood feel.
Desks and these donuts.
Thank you. We got the day. So yeah, that's it. That's all we do. So yeah, we're gonna keep, growing this and thanks.
Well, we welcome everybody to be a part of that, and the discussion is really fun, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah. We have three former mayors, the current mayor. We just kind of talk about what's going on, but understand the backstory and how we got. Thanks.
Great. Anything else on communications, Robert, or anybody else? Nope. Awesome. Let's move on to member engagement. Jeff will hopefully be stumbling in any minute. He and Nick are stuck at the peer commission meeting. That hopefully they'll be here. So we're gonna put a pin in for all things 4th of July, hoping he comes.
But did you want, since it's a quarterly report? I have the membership report real fast.
Yep.
Okay, I
Yeah,
just
let's
want
start with that.
okay, we're doing this quarterly, and from April to June, we got 14 new members. Our membership right now is 274. Our contacts are 24, 23. So maybe we should work a little bit more on membership.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is like 10 times as many. And we have 101 seniors, 94 individuals, 72 households. We have 6 bronze businesses, and we got 1 gold business, the pump station. That's great. And maybe you would let them know the difference.
Yep. So those of you that aren't aware, we started a upgraded tier of business memberships this year to try and generate more revenue to use for things like these meetings. And if you get something like a silver membership, it gets you some placement in newsletters or ability to use the newsletter as a vehicle for communicating either once a quarter or once a month, depending on what tier you get. So if anyone's going into the pump station, say thank you for your membership. If you have ideas for other businesses should be joining, please feel free to encourage them. I don't think enough businesses are aware of us or what we're doing in the neighborhood.
Can we get a list of
Who's already a member?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I can get that for you.
Good ask. We'll follow up and share that.
I pull it down. Okay, so that's basically where we are right now.
Cool. If anyone has any ideas for how to boost membership, please reach out to Patty or myself. I've been trying to once a month throw something in the newsletter about membership drive, but we're always open to ideas. Nothing.
You started about other people about putting together a sheet and researching what are the benefits of joining. What should I join? And I did a lot, and there's a lot of good reasons. Some are obvious, but more than I didn't think this. I think that's really important thing in recruiting, especially looking for younger membership. Why should I join? What are the benefits?
I know this is obvious. It's so silly, right? We're talking about, is it $20?
Yep.
And what we get for it in the newsletter thing that you newsletter that you put together twice a week, which is a huge value to people. And some other stuff that we're getting at. And also we're starting to incubate people, and what I mean by incubate is we told Jerry, Jerry, why don't you apply for the tree, what is it called, the forest, what's the commission?
Urban Forest
Urban
Task Force.
Forest Task Force. He said, no, I wouldn't do that, I'm not qualified. And, yes, you are. So he did put his application. So we're also incubating future leaders and people who get involved in the city, which is something. So just such a good value. Yeah, I don't know, but people aren't joining these things much, are they? That's part of the problem.
Actually, they really did well when we were in COVID and OPA Connects brought in over 100 members
That helps.
right there.
But see, it's just like people aren't joining Rotary, they're not joining Columbus, they're not joining neighborhood associations. You gotta figure out how to, I don't know how we do that, but you guys do a great job trying to crack that. So thank you.
Well, I'm just gonna say, I bring it up, I try every day, I read it. I've seen way more interest with younger people hanging out with younger, and they're really active, so I think.
Yeah, you gotta find a way.
We'll need a career person.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's fun. If you have, I wanna say parties, but not parties, but if there's alcohol, like
Happy hour.
maybe a restaurant can give a discount on drinks. And then do something happy hour, I think that would attract money.
Pre-COVID, we actually had a membership card that got you 10% off at a variety of Ocean Park businesses. That got ditched during COVID for a lot of obvious reasons, because businesses were really struggling. I don't know if that will be coming back or not, but I agree.
And there's the social, I mean, it's us having a happy hour, trying to attract some people.
Yeah, that's another thing. Just while we're on membership, that dovetails well into events. We've been hoping to do more programming. We've got a lot of the tentpole programming in place, but we do need to get back into sort of a monthly, more social calendar. If anyone has some bandwidth to help organize a happy hour once a month, or even just outing at the food truck, it's pretty low lift. Please reach out to me after the meeting. Would love to get some help with that. But speaking of the tentpole events, let's talk about sharing an open Main Street, Robbie.
Yeah, so we have secured pickleball as the main, should I call it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So pickleball is going to be the main programming on Saturday and Sunday from the 12th and 13th of August. And then things like music, which folks are offering to help with. Still looking for vendors. We can always add more vendors. They're actually like some of the primary drivers of the revenue to put this thing on. We are doing this in partnership, for anyone that doesn't know, with the Main Street Business Improvement District that Hunter leads, and Jenny, who many of you guys have met, helps to organize a lot of the logistics, but vendors and any kind of sponsors. I will say that we've been able to, collectively get a couple sponsors in the door that are going to be significant contributors to the cause for the month of August. So anybody else that hasn't gotten involved that wants to reach out and do more, feel free to reach out. There's a meeting tomorrow with a group of OPA members and Jenny and Hunter to kind of talk through what is planned and what else we can be doing to help. So if there's any questions.
Did Hunter and Jenny able to get city funds allocated to them? Do you know?
Yes. So
How much they get?
Yeah. So what I understand is that what they expected, they got, and then the number I think is 10,000. So yeah. And so it's a matter of like making what's clear to me is that it hasn't been like we need to raise X to throw these events, and that we have brought in, Y. So I think like as I'm like learning how this works, like I think that's probably how we should think about it for next year, or even as we go into September and October. because we don't really have funding targets in terms of sponsors or vendors to bring in. And then oftentimes the presenting sponsors are like kind of welcomed with open arms because it's an attraction that,
Right.
so like at the end of the day, it's a good thing for the Main Street businesses, but like what ends up trying to make up the revenue is the beer garden. And I don't know, I have an opinion on that. I think that like people should be in the establishments versus, you know, paying a high ticket price for the, so anyway,
Well, but you don't wanna be able to drink in the parking lot or the street, which you can't really do if you're in the building.
right, no,
That's
it's
like,
outside, it's summer, it's nice, I'm with you.
Not here, but that's fine. The more
Yeah.
beer you have out, the more whiskey you have out, the more people will show up and the more people will be in the street.
Yeah, my idea at the beginning of the year was to, you know, have people walk around the street without being in, anyways, so maybe that's the future. We'd love to make that happen, but I don't know if you're gonna be able to join the call tomorrow.
What time is it?
I'll make sure it's on.
So how much of this?
So, I'm sorry, but are you, that 10 grand is not right. It's not what they should have done.
Okay.
Are you sure? I mean,
Let's get them tomorrow to confirm exactly what the number is.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested in joining that meeting, it's at 1:30 PM tomorrow. You can hit me or Robbie up to get an invite to it. It's a pretty big lift in terms of the amount of work the committee has to do to pull off all of this. So it, you know, would encourage involvement from anyone that's interested. So remember, August 12th and 13th, it's going to be a fun weekend on the street.
Yeah.
Please be there and tell your neighbors about it. National Night Out, we already talked a little bit about. August 1st at City Hall. We do need a couple volunteers to help set up and staff a table there. Will, I believe.
I'm gonna be there from noon onward for the police department volunteering, so I can also help with us. I'll definitely be there.
It's a lot of people. It's a good crowd.
It's a really good
I-
time. It's so
I
much
tabled
fun.
myself last year. It was a little overwhelming.
Yeah, it's okay.
It was fun.
It's a fun night, you know, a lot of kids there.
Yeah, a lot of
which
families,
is
a lot
nice.
of locals.
And
a lot
what
of-
we did last year was we had a wheel that people could spin and win some combination of candy, OPA swag, 7th Street, etc., which assuming we have enough
And
people to
Christina
staff
brought
it.
her kids, and they brought in lots of people.
I'll
love
volunteer,
that.
I'll
I
do,
think that's
Sean, I'll
great.
volunteer to at least like do an email to the board again and kind of put that out.
Thank you. And if there's
Yeah.
any non-board members that are interested in getting involved for a night, that's a
Just
great
helping out.
great way to spend a few hours.
Yeah, it's
please.
fun.
Yeah.
It's actually really fun. It's a good time.
It's free food.
Yeah, just cool. It's
Free
good
popcorn.
energy, really good community.
I'm gonna still, any thoughts on whether we should talk about 4th of July parade or wait and see if Jeff's able to make it?
Let's wait.
We'll circle back to that in a few minutes then.
Could I say something about the Conservancy, now that we have, real quick, or my stuff they sell somewhere?
It's on here, but it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
well, I only have the, I don't have the one.
All good, go for it.
Well, as you know, we've been talking about doing walking tours in the Ocean Park area. I mean, people-led walking tours, and using the great mind of Mark Borman for pulling this together. And what we're looking for is perhaps a beta tour for August, maybe September. Depending on how we can get this, but we also are going to be looking for people who would like to be the tour guide and talk about the areas, the 3rd Street Historic District and Main Street is what we would be looking at. And so I'm going to be coming up next meeting with some forms, maybe if anyone's interested in coming to a meeting on August the 20th to discuss this. We're really trying to get this off the ground. And if you take a look at what Mark puts together with the street scene, you know that the information is going to be clear and you would have a really fun time.
walking tours before and led them, and it is a lot of fun. So just wanted to mention it, and I'd like to thank Mark for everything that he's been doing.
Yeah, thanks. And please shoot me more information that I can throw out in the newsletter as well to.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get
I'm
to a wider
ready to
audience.
tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Judy's gonna
Judy.
There is an app that has been put together by Snapchat,
Yep.
for a few blocks on Broadway where you can hold up your phone and you see a building and then you see on your phone what the building used to look like and more detail about it. And it seems to me that Mark's information could be put into a fabulous website or app or something. Yeah.
But we already have all the photos.
Yeah.
Really cool.
So, yes. this is gonna be-
And I think Nick's already been trying to connect the dots around there. And if you don't know what Judy's referring to, go back to this morning's newsletter, and there is a link to an article about the augmented reality.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's shift off of events. Anything else to talk about on Main Street? I think we covered everything. Anybody else have anything else? Great. Arts. Mark, you're the only representative in the arts. That's where I don't. Nothing to report.
No, I did make a couple of calls for Richard.
Diversity, Ian. And Judy and Nick.
We're working on several different things. I just heard, and I haven't talked to Ian about this, but there may be an attempt to bring fathers and infants together as an organizing tool that the Early Childhood Task Force is interested in doing, but it's also an organizing thing that we could do that's diverse within Ocean Park. And I heard this idea just today or yesterday about having, trying to organize people with dogs. Because we have so many people walking dogs every day, multiple times in Ocean Park, at least on my street and Ian Street. That, you know, what if we had a gathering for people with dogs? And they all got along. Yeah. And see if we can organize the people who are walking on in our neighborhood and might be interested in knowing each other.
Judy, I think it's a great idea. As someone who is constantly walking her dog, I've met so many people just by walking my dog, you know, but it's, you know, you have that thing in common. They have it every year, right? For Halloween at the dog park, you know, and that's always so fun.
And there is going to be an open Main Street weekend about dogs.
Yeah, but I think that's a great idea.
Town park on Jocelyn, my neighbor's dog, I hang out now with. That is a social scene. I mean, so many people.
Yeah, that is great.
And it's fun, and that would be. Park.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
And then, we could have dogs join OPA. Yeah,
Oh my goodness, it's
Yeah.
great, Mark.
And then also, Ian and I are talking with the Democratic Club DE&I committee, because they have figured out how to gather people to talk about diversity and equity, and see if we can kind of glom onto what they've learned.
Thank you. Roddy, anything to discuss regarding renters and or homeless task forces? You want to bring up the magnets?
Yeah, everybody, free to take them back. Thanks to thanks to- I think they printed them a little too small. Like, I can't- Might get them reprinted for the open street events, but yeah, generally.
Or before National Night Out on August 1st, if possible.
Yeah, that's a great
Put
idea.
them there.
That's a great idea.
And this is something, it's meant to be, for those of you that haven't been here, when we were talking about it, it's a cheat sheet on who to call when from city services, whether it's homeless or non-emergency issues, etc. Cool. Education, I know it's summer break.
We have a new superintendent. I don't know where he stands on things. I spoke to Dr. Richardson and the school district is going to be talking to high schoolers that came up through John Muir Smash about their experiences there, and I guess try to glean the good and bad and see what they can do to apply to that campus. The big other news is they're sadly taking some trees out near campus, but they will be replacing them. I think it's a 2-to-1 thing. And my brain, sorry.
It's okay.
The other thing is that Dr. Richardson said really one of the biggest things that's going to dictate, I mean, we know it's a neighborhood school, but like what is going to be there is going to be whether or not what happens with the PBL high school, like if they stay on SMC campus or if they go to actual Channel campus, or if they want their building back, right? Because Smash would like to just stay in that building, and that would be cool with me too. So a lot of things are up in the air. Have been trying to kind of talk to some board members and put in their ear the possibility of making the neighborhood school like a BAPA magnet type of thing.
What's OPA?
Visual and performing arts. So whereas like Will Rogers is an IB school and John Adams has their science magnet, wouldn't it be cool if our little neighborhood school had something that would also make the school district like take care of it? I think it's important. Whereas when the elementary students are practicing for Stairway, instead of going all the way to Franklin, they could be in our little Ocean Park elementary practicing. And when the school board is having visitors and stuff, that is the closest elementary school to the new headquarters. Let's take them to that campus. So some things to get them, because you know, they turn things around with Edison with you know, buy-in from Board of Education members kind of like adopting them. And so like I would like one of them to adopt us. And but also I still want to really like make sure that like if somebody moves to our neighborhood, they can send their kid there, that it's not, Edison has gotten really hard if you live in the neighborhood to get into that school because everybody wants to be in the immersion program. It's the newest thing. So we don't want that, but we would like to be special. So I guess my question is also, I think we need to write a letter. And so does it come from our task force, or does our task force write the letter and then we bring it to the OPA board before?
I would say.
I guess it probably depends on what's in the letter, but.
We can talk about it, but probably draft something that the board discusses.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's things like asking for access to the park when it's locked during the day because nobody's using it for, you know, what you got.
Give you the basis, I'll write that.
I got some emails.
John likes writing letters. Great,
thank you. So that's kind of, it's like stuff's happening, but not happening. It's real slow. So.
Cool.
Oh, and we have a new member too, Mila, who is a Smash parent. So, and a member of OPA.
other than going back on the 4th of July wrap up, I think that covers all the committees and task forces. Tell me if I forgot something. I have a couple more items and then let's talk about 4th of July because I don't think Jeff's gonna make it. Officer Navarro, I see you on the line. I don't know if you can hear us. You weren't here earlier. I don't know if you joined for a specific discussion item or just we're late getting on and forgot you were.
No, so I logged on earlier and for some reason Zoom logged me out. So, once I logged back in, I wanted to make sure that it worked. So once I logged in, I listened to a dialogue and just playing with my email. So I'm just
All
listening.
good.
Wait, I have a question.
Uh-oh. Jude, you're
I'm
such a
hearing,
genie.
I'm hearing a helicopter right now.
Let me find out for you. You guys can talk-
It was just.
All good. Thank you, officer.
Thanks.
Last two items, Zach, did resign and we do have to, I think we have to vote to accept the resignation. I'm not sure how that works.
I move to accept the resignation of Zach Feedback from the OPA board.
I second
All in favor? I think we can do it by acclamation. Any objections? I'm not sure if an objection will do anything. It looks like it was unanimous.
with regret.
Yes. Quarterly financials.
Okay, I don't know whether or not we put it up.
Yep, I'm trying to put it up right now.
Okay. This is just a general account of state. You might have.
Here we go.
Okay, I can see it from here, so you should be able to look. What I do is I take a look at the 3 months, first of all, what we took in. And you can see that through, we just took in money from our members. Only membership money came in these 3 months and it accounted for $1,017.42. That's how much came in 3 months. Going out in those 3 months, we had to pay for our board insurance, we had Facebook ads, we had quite a few meetings where we paid for the salads. We got some grant purchases. Now the grant purchases is actually money that is not taken from membership. We received a grant for $5,000 that's in the accounts already. So it looks like we spent $6,515.12. 3,000 of that is grant money, which is different from membership money. But otherwise, we spend quite a bit more than we take in, and that's going to become a problem at some point, not right now. And it just has to be approved by the board. So, anybody want to?
Anybody have any questions?
I move, let's first move it and then we can do it.
Yeah.
I move its approval.
Second.
Now you can ask questions.
Okay, now,
What's your question?
And maybe in my eyesight, does it say mugs, discount mugs?
yeah, discount
Yeah.
mugs,
That's
we
where I-
bought,
We bought remember the pictures I sent of all the stuff, all the chairs.
Oh,
all the
discount
money,
mugs is
Discount
like the
mugs is the
site
website.
that you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, okay. That was fun. That's a lot of mugs. Where are they?
Mugs, yeah.
Just
That's
as
the flavor
Stanford-
I brought up. That's a good question.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes?
No, of the treasurer's
I'm
report.
sorry, the treasurer's report. Any objections? Any abstains? Great. The June minutes. Christina shared those a couple days ago. Anybody have any questions? Great. Do we have a nomination to accept them? Robbie? Patty second. All in favor? Any objections? Okay. All good. All right, let's talk about 4th of July parade. Obviously, Jeff's not making it. And just want to see if there's anything for us to chat, sort of post-mortem on that. And, you know, constructive criticism for next year. As many of you know, we did have a parade crasher. And you know, for those of you that don't know, we had a bunch of Robert Kennedy Jr. supporters force their way into the parade, basically said, screw you, and a lot of other ugly things. We're marching, we have a First Amendment right to do this, and just went in. Jeff is in contact with Santa Monica Police Department about everything that happened to figure out, is there any follow-up that needs to be done? I doubt any charges are going to be pressed, but you never know.
But it should be advertised, and I was surprised to hear that the other day, because I think that it makes people ask, well, how come they're in there? You know, when they tell us it's not permitted, but I think it's important that we do it.
Yeah, so this is, and I know, I'm sorry we waited till the last minute of the meeting to talk about it, but it is something we wanted to talk about here, because we had an executive committee meeting about how much to point that out or not in the newsletter. And we were really conflicted about calling even more attention to these people. And should we treat it like when there's someone who runs on the field at Dodger Stadium, the cameras shut off and don't show that person because they don't want to give them the attention they want. And so we're really conflicted about it. We opted for now that we did mention something very briefly in the newsletter, didn't mention who it was about, just mentioned that we're non-political and yada, yada, but open for discussion if the community and the board feels otherwise.
It was both Christina and I were in check-in. And Ian, oh yeah, I can't see through the tree anymore. So the three of us actually saw how they were acting, what they were doing, and we explained, and I know I did, explain exactly why they could not be in the parade. And at that point, they just said, "But we don't care." And there was really no way we could stop them. I stopped giving wristbands to those people, hoping that they would be caught by the police without wristbands, but that didn't work. They were still marching, and there were also anti-vaxxers, or another part of that group, which were being very disruptive. But to tell you the truth, that was such a small group of people compared to everybody who showed up and were ready to go and do this. And a lot of positive things came out.
Groups.
There was, yeah, over.
And some of them had like 7 cars. I mean,
Yeah, we had 15 bands, and it was a joyous occasion, except when you get, crash.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that you can do, and we're very much hoping that the city council or whoever does not take this as a demerit and closes it down. We'll have to look into other ways. The police did not react to stopping them. So we have to look at other ways we're going to have to do this so this never happens.
Before you get to you, Mark, I see Officer Navarro with his hand up. I think he wants to weigh in on this.
So this is the first time I had heard about it. I know Susie was out there and she hadn't mentioned it. I can tell you it's a permitted event, so people don't have that right to protest like if it was just an open sidewalk. I don't know what our, if we did a briefing afterwards, and then whether now we're going to take some, make some efforts for next July 4th to make sure it doesn't happen again. Let me find out what they've done, kind of what their after action report is. And maybe next month, I'll give you some information as far as how we're going to, what we're going to do as far as what happened that day and what we're going to do in the future to not let it happen again.
That would be much appreciated.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, officer. It's going to be stuck around.
Yep. Right? You don't want to repeat what happened in 2022 either.
Right.
So you have to keep that in mind.
Yep,
It's
and
going to be a little more complex than
And we've had some discussions about that already. And for reference, we had a few people that were campaigning, put campaign signs on their vehicles. And we're gonna try to make sure that doesn't happen as well. Mark, then Judy.
I just want to make it real quick. I don't know if everybody kind of knows the way police departments work, but their job is to enforce the law. It's really kind of our responsibility initially to interface with these people, and we should have security, which we don't have, as the first line. And then we can ask the police to enforce, because they're not security guards, they're not parade monitors. That's not what a police department does.
Security was something Jeff and I have already talked about.
Great.
Giving it.
Because then at that point, if they don't follow our instructions from our staff and security guards, then we can ask the police for their background.
Jeff went up.
Did I say that right?
He tried to stop.
Judy? Last word.
I don't think we should end this meeting without saying it was a fabulous
Fantastic.
parade. It was absolutely wonderful, and people have been telling me how
Yeah.
much fun they had and how interested they are in next year, and so I just wanted to put out all.
Yep,
those
you beat me to the
positive
punch.
things.
That's how I was gonna end as well.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic day.
Really
Thank
was
you to
successful.
everyone that participated, attended, donated,
Good
etc.
turnout.
I saw one more hand
And
up.
this was a fantastic night on the street. Ladies want chocolate?
The answer is yes. Oh, perfect. Jeff did show up for the tail end of this.
Hey, Jeff.
We just got done talking, but anything to add, last minute on?
He's going to get chocolate.
Yeah. Jeff's not here to talk business. He's here.
He was on the pier and you came here.
Yeah. Jeff, before we adjourn, because we do have to let the restaurant close, anything to add on the parade? Jeff?
Yeah.
Anything to talk about on the parade? We just finished a healthy discussion about improvement for next year. Officer Navarro agreed to set a follow-up on
Oh, good.
how to, best practices for next year.
Thank you.
Great job. Great, great, thanks.
That's great.
John Paul, did you have anything to add? I see your hand up as well.
Yes, this is Catherine. I'm Jean Paul's partner. We're household members. Just to follow up on that 4th of July question that's pending. I was wondering about how we would distinguish between someone who's political and not allowed to then participate, because I thought I remembered in the newsletter they said it's a non-political event, you can't have political things, and political candidates, because I'm ashamed to say I didn't make the whole parade this year. I'm sorry. I know in past years there have been candidates, like Senator Ben Allen has had a float, and some council member candidates last year. I don't remember their names, but I remember meeting them through the parade last year. And so that's just my question on how that line is drawn, so that we can make sure that the kind of participation we want is brought about, and that we're not being too broad or too narrow, and that we ourselves are able to enforce it and implement it in the most effective way that we want to, rather than it looking like we're targeting just certain views. That makes
It's a good
sense. Thank you
question.
for listening.
No, it's a good question. It's something that John was hinting at. We do have a pretty, clear policy of no politicking allowed, and we are going to be actively working for next year to try and figure out how to make that more clear and enforceable. Anything to add to that, Jeff?
It's hard to enforce. And I want to sit down with the police and city and figure out a way to stifle it a bit. Because the people that were involved were pretty belligerent and disrespectful. And they had no reason to be in the parade. They weren't registered. So,
That's the violation right there.
Right, but we're talking going.
that's right. Yeah. No,
So it's something we'll continue to work on addressing, and I would encourage anyone to vote, vote against people that break the rules like that, so.
If you're an elected official, even if you're actually holding office, even if you are running for re-election, you're not just saying re-elect Van Allen, but you could be in
Yeah.
if you're elected, but not it's just as a.
Correct. All right, unless there's anything else to talk about, I do want to reiterate what we just said before you got here and say, fantastic job, Jeff. Thank you for making sure the parade is. It's a highlight not just of the neighborhood, but of the city. So great job.
Yeah, but I hope most of you were there. Thanks. Big turnout.
And on that note, unless there's any other pressing items from anyone, he beat you to the motion, but Ian gets second, I assume. All in favor, you adjourned at 8:36. Thank you all. Have a great night.
We have magnets and we, anyone that needs a form, need a form to remember, I can give you one.